I've run a headhunting agency that specializes in search marketing for nearly 5 years now. And I've watched hundreds of hires, the good ones and the disasters. And the disasters aren't always down to either bad luck or bad candidates. They're normally down to about 5 mistakes that agencies or companies are making when they hire. I want you to stick around because I think this might sting a bit because there's going to be at least one of them that I guarantee that you're making. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so we're going to start with mistake number 1, and that is you only start hiring when the seat is already open. And that might sound so crazy to a lot of people, but I promise you, this is what most agencies do. They sign a new client, they get a new account, somebody resigns or whatever, and they go straight to LinkedIn jobs. They throw up a job description that they had 3 or 4 years ago, and they've got it live. And you've only got a few candidates put through the funnel, and you've got a deadline breathing down your neck. And it's just not the way to hire. And again, if you do it yourself, again, what we find on average is it takes 75 days to fill that by yourself when you have a seat open. The thing that's really, really important about that 75 days to fill is that every single day that goes past is a day lost on delivery, a day that your senior team are actually trying to cover that gap. And that's just not the way to hire. We actually signed a client recently. They're a massive client, so you will know exactly who it is. I think they're in like the top 200 most visited websites in the world, like very, very big. But they had a very senior hire open for 5 months, and they had 3 full-time recruiters that were trying to hire for this as well. So they knew that they were in pain. So on that client call, I didn't want to go into like the cost of vacancy and like how much that was actually costing them having that open for. So, and again, I think if they were a bit more proactive with it, they would have been able to, reduce the amount of time that role was open for. And the thing is that when you hire in a panic, you're optimizing availability, not ability. So you need to really make sure that this doesn't happen. And the way that you can do that is what we call as having like a virtual bench. So over here, what you can do is you can always be talking to talent. So again, it's about building your brand. It's about talking to, always having open kind of roles, having like a thing on your careers page where you're always looking at the top talent. The same way as when you're trying to get big clients, you're always prospecting. That tap never turns off. The same should be on talent acquisition. You should be talking to the best people out there. You might not have a role open for them now, but you might in 6 months, 18 months. We do it at my company. Anytime we get on a call with somebody that's really, really talented, or somebody messages me and they've got the exact experience that I want, I'll jump on a call with them and I'll go through it. I mean, I'll be completely honest with them that we don't have the role open right now. But again, I want to build out that virtual bench. Okay, and mistake number 2 is the whole Swiss Army knife myth. So the actual role and the reason that this has failed is because the job was never actually clearly defined. So, you've got somebody that might be an SEO strategist. They've also got content writing. They've also got a technical audit. They're a developer. They're a project manager. I was going to go and look at some jobs and show them up on the screen of some of the jobs that we see where it is everything. So let's just call them a Swiss Army knife. And the funniest thing about most of these roles is that the salary does not match everything on that. So, you could have something like that and it would be 45 grand in the UK, or let's just say 55, 60K USD in the US. And you're expecting everything from it. So normally when they do go up, they get a lot of heat on LinkedIn. And again, this happens a lot of the time when we get on client discovery calls. Somebody could think that they want an SEO manager. After about 10 questions of digging deeper into it, it actually changes into a completely different role. So what we try and get people to do before they actually hire for the role is to actually define the outcomes before you write the job description. So it's 12 months from today and this hire crushed it. What are 3 measurable things that are true? And so this will give a brief example of the way that our scorecard looks like. So we do this all on a call, but again, I'll put it in the link in the comments if you want to download this. So the mission of the role, so a concise, compelling statement of the fundamental reason this person exists and the core problems it's designed to solve. We've got a few questions in there. What is the number 1 thing the rest of the team is currently over leveraged on because this person isn't here? If this person fails in the first 6 months, what is the most likely reason why? The role overview, the key measurables. So to be considered an A player, the candidate must achieve these 3 quantifiable goals within the first 3 to 12 months. What are they? Imagine it's 1 year from today and we're celebrating this hire's performance. What are 3 specific numeric achievements that we're celebrating? And again, this might sound really, really easy, but I promise you, once you get all of this done, one you can do is you can turn it into an actual scorecard. But as well as that, it'll just be the guardrails. So, if you're in an interview and someone says something that you really, really like, but you had it down as a red flag down here, you'll be able to actually use that as a scorecard of being like, okay, well, I got gut feeling in the interview, but if we go back to our actual scorecard, it was a red flag, so we can't move forward with that person. And again, these outcomes need to be, super, super measurable. Things like, organic revenue up by, 40%, owns 3 client accounts solo and keeps the client retention at 87%. Whatever it is that we can actually have measurable outcomes on these. And while we're here, we should talk about costs. So this is Salary Guide, one of my companies. What you can do is you can go in here and you can go into, let's say, marketing manager. And what you can do, again, we've got really granular data. So once you set up an account, it's free. You can go in here and you get all the data that you want. So again, when you're actually building out the outcome focused scorecard, then you can build out the job description, and then you can build out and have an accurate salary to actually attract the people that you do want as well. And again, just one last closing part on this one is, if you cannot define success in the first 90 days, I promise you are not ready to hire, and a speed hire is not going to be successful. So mistake number 3, and this isn't about the candidate, this one's about you. So it's called the halo effect. So it's basically a big brand name lands with a CV, across your desk. It might be ex-Google, ex-LinkedIn, whatever big agency that you look up to. They've built a famous account team. The halo is that bright that you stop actually asking the questions that matter, and everything becomes a mirage. And it hides all the gaps. Are they hands-on today, or were they hands-on 5 years ago? We call them tick boxers. Were they in a role for 3 to 5 years where they were just ticking the box, not doing anything special, not in the trenches? Are they is their commercial awareness good, or is it just because they've got a great brand behind them? And do they actually raise the bar, or do they lower it? It can never be neutral. And again, on this can work both ways. We just signed a client recently who had an account manager who was unbelievable on everything. Just went through the vetting process, was great, but when they were actually put into the role, they were, the campaigns were working, but for some reason they weren't able to actually show the value articulation of the work that they were actually doing. So it would basically get the clients ringing the owner and getting that guy in trouble. And ultimately they had to let go of them, and he really, really liked them. So again, this can go both ways. The vetting process needs to be extremely strong on these. So again, that's one fixed vetting process for every single role with the outcome focused scorecard, and you're scoring on each one. So there's no mix. It's always a fix, and there's written evidence of each one as well. The next bit as well is the culture fit. The culture fit isn't that you're able to go for a beer with them, or had a lot of fun with them, especially if you've got a bigger team. The culture fit is on values and work ethic. So you need to be able to actually vet for them as well. There's a load of very, very good culture index questionnaires that you can do, or you can do a 30-minute chemistry call, is what a lot of our clients do as well. Okay, so mistake number 4 is the halo effect's cousin. This is confusing experience with competence. 5 years on a CV can mean 2 very, very different things. It could really mean 5 years of actual growth and they absolutely killed it, or it could mean 5 years of, as I said, doing tick box activity where they're not in the trenches, they weren't hands-on. So on the left here, you've obviously got the same year times 5. They are not the people that we want to go. The ones on the right-hand side, the actual stairs going up, they're growing, they're maybe getting promotions. The team, when you look out for references as well, when they're getting the job, everybody's got positive things to say to them about how much they've grown, how much they've really delved into the company. They're the people that we want. And again, we see this quite a lot of times. We see a lot of clients come to us on calls and they're like, oh, well, we want somebody with like 6 years experience or 7 years senior experience. And we have to politely, of course, tell them that, a lot of the times it's not to do with the actual experience, the years of experience of that candidate. It's to do with, their actual growth. And especially, this should be gone up like this in the last year because of all the AI and the tools and everything that's coming up. So again, that's why we've got such a strong vetting process on, how AI native a candidate is, because we just want to see, these stairs turn into an absolute ramp going up, or a hockey stick. So here's the actual fix on this. The single most stealable, bit about this video is stop interviewing for the past and start interviewing for the present. So actually, run a short paid work trial. Take a real problem in your world, anonymize it, pay the candidate for them. And maybe it could be 2 to 3 hours of their time, and just watch how they think. Not what they did in 2021, but what they can actually do this week. And again, a lot of our clients will actually ask a candidate to share the screen. Actually, it's funny, we've got a client, they're a great client of ours, really, really strict with their vetting process. But if a final interview is going really well, like too well, they'll do, I can't remember what they call it, but it's like throwing them under the bus, basically, where they then ask them to share their screen and they'll give them a real problem to fix right there. And it'll show them, one, how they think on their feet. These are very, very senior positions, very well paid positions at a very great agency. But one, it'll teach them like, what do they do when they're on their feet? And again, it'll just kind of give you an insight into the way that they think, which is, I think, is a phenomenal way to hire. And as well as that, their staff retention rate is something like 93%, and they're like a 12-year-old agency. So phenomenal on that. Okay, and mistake number 5 is the onboarding illusion. So, they have nailed the scorecard, they've beat the halo effect, you tested them on absolutely everything, they did the scorecard, they've signed them, and then you introduce them instead of actually integrating them. So again, we kind of joke about this a lot, but onboarding does not equal laptop logins and a meet the team call. So real integration is at least a 90-day onboarding. It's the honeymoon effect. It's that first 90 days is what's going to make sure that they stay for hopefully years to come. And the first 0 to 30, we've got a whole onboarding checklist as well. You can message me and I'll give it to you. But the first 30 days is everything about tools and context. That's system, accounts, and how the agency runs. And again, those 30 days, nobody is going to be on the summit of that mountain on those first 30 days, especially if they shine through the interview. What you really want is them to get integrated with everything. And then from 31 to 60 is when you start to see the culture and the cadence. So how decisions get made, who owns what, what way the actual company operates, and how do they actually put themselves into that. Again, integration is the big thing here. So the next 61 to 90 days is the expectations and ownership, which is the scorecard outcomes reviewed in the open, constant meetings. So again, we've got an onboarding checklist where it's like, tells you what day that you should be having these conversations with. And it has like a load of checklists as well of like, is the candidate, acting like this? Are they doing all that? And I think the biggest thing when it comes to onboarding is, one, there's 2 things. There's never let the candidate just be in the dark. But the other thing is don't have these massive expectations that this person, if they've killed it the last 10 years at their last company or whatever, that they're going to come in and do that in the first 90 days with you. It takes time to really integrate and become part of the company. So if you can get these 90 days really, really, completely structured, completely improved on, it's going to, one, make sure that they have such great opportunity at your company and they love the company, but as well as that, it's going to actually get them up to speed even faster so they can do what you hired them to do. Okay, so that is the 5 mistakes that I see agency owners mistake all the time. So that's hire from pipeline, never in panic, define success before you actually write the job ad, kill the halo with structure, test the actual person, not the CV, and make sure that you integrate and not just introduce. And the thing is that every one of these is fixable this quarter, and they don't demand a massive budget to do. They're fairly easy and simple to do. And look, if you're hiring for any search marketing and performance teams and you'd rather somebody does this complete system for you, then please either visit us on www.searchforhire.com, or there should be a booking link in the description below.